Today's lesson is on solving two-step equations. First, we'll look at our key idea for solving two-step equations. A two-step equation is an equation that contains two different operations. To solve a two-step equation, use inverse operations to isolate the variable. For our first example, we're solving two-step equations. For A, we're going to solve 2x minus 5 equals 13. Our first step is to undo the subtraction. So since we're subtracting 5 in the problem, we're going to add 5 to solve. We're going to add 5 to both sides of our equation. When we do this, on the left-hand side, we're just going to have 2x. And on the right-hand side, we have 13 plus 5, and that is 18. Our next step is to undo the multiplication. In the problem, we're doing 2 times x. So in order to undo the multiplication, we're going to divide to solve. So we're going to divide each side by 2. 2x divided by 2 is x, and 18 divided by 2 is 9. So our solution is x equals 9. We're going to continue with our first example. So for B, we have solve 4 equals y divided by 8 plus 1. So our first step is to undo the addition, and we'll do that by subtracting 1 from each side. So 4 minus 1 is 3. And on the right-hand side, we have y divided by 8 plus 1, and then minus 1. So this part will cancel out, the plus 1 minus 1, and we'll just have y divided by 8. So now we need to solve 3 equals y divided by 8. Since we're dividing by 8, we'll do the opposite, which would be to multiply by 8. So we're going to multiply both sides by 8. So we'll have 3 times 8 equals y divided by 8 times 8. 3 times 8 is 24. And then y divided by 8 times 8 would just be y. So our solution is y equals 24. Now we have an additional example. You can pause the video and try it on your own, or you may follow along. So for number 1, we have 5c minus 1 equals 14. Our first step is to undo the subtraction. We'll do this by adding 1 to each side. So now we have 5c equals 15. Now we need to undo the multiplication because we have 5c, which is 5 times c. So we do that by dividing by 5. We need to do that on both sides. So now on the left-hand side, we just have c, and 15 divided by 5 is 3. We can check our solution by plugging this back in. So 5 times 3 is 15, minus 1 is 14. Now for number 2, we have h divided by 4 plus 9 equals 20. Our first step is to undo the addition. We'll do that by subtracting 9 from each side. So on the left-hand side, we have h divided by 4, and that will then be equal to 20 minus 9, which is 11. Now we need to undo the division. We'll do that by multiplying each side by 4. On the left-hand side, 4 times h divided by 4 is just h. And we get that because if we make 4 into a fraction, we can then simplify these 4's by dividing by 4. And now you can see we just have one h, which is h. And then 11 times 4 is 44. We can then check our solution by plugging the 44 into our equation. And 44 divided by 4 is 11. And 11 plus 9 is 20. And for number 3, we have 3 times the quantity x minus 1 equals 9. And the first thing we want to do is we're going to use the distributive property to simplify our equation. So we'll do 3 times x, and we'll also do 3 times 1. So 3 times x is 3x, and then we have minus 3 times 1, which is 3, and that will be equal to 9. Now we need to undo the subtraction, so we're going to add 3 to both sides, and we have 3x equals 12. And now we need to undo the multiplication, and we do that by dividing each side by 3. So on the left-hand side, we have x, And we get that because 3 divided by 3 is 1, and that would be 1x or just x. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. Now I can substitute this 4 back in, and 4 minus 1 is 3, and 3 times 3 would be 9. Now we have a key idea for terms and like terms. In the equation 5x plus 2x equals 16 minus 2, 5x, 2x, 16, and 2 are called terms. 5x and 2x are called like terms. 16 and 2 are also like terms. To solve, use the distributive property to combine like terms. So for our second example, we're solving equations by combining like terms. So for A, we have solved the equation 3x plus 6x equals 45. So for this equation, we're going to combine our like terms. You can see that we have 3x plus 6x. We can combine these by adding 3 plus 6, and that answer would then be times x, and that would equal 45. So 3 plus 6 is 9, so that would give us 9 times x, which is 9x, and that would be equal to 45. And then we'll solve this equation by dividing each side by 9. Since we're multiplying by 9 in the problem, the opposite would be to divide. When we divide each side by 9, we get x equals 5. Now for B, for our second example, we have solved the equation 5a minus 2a equals 6. Once again, we're going to combine like terms. We have 5a minus 2a. We can combine those by saying that we have 5 minus 2, and then we would multiply that answer by a, and that would be equal to 6. 5 minus 2 is 3, and 3 times a would be 3a, and that would be equal to 6. We then want to divide each side by 3, because in the problem we're multiplying 3 times a, and the opposite would be to divide. When we divide each side by 3, 3a divided by 3 is just a, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So our solution is a equals 2. Now we have an additional example. You can pause the video and try it on your own, or you may follow along. So for number 4, we have 2x plus 5x equals 7. So the first thing we need to do is we need to combine our like terms. We need to combine 2x plus 5x. We can do this by first adding 2 plus 5, and then we will multiply that answer by x, and then that would be equal to 7. 2 plus 5 is 7, so we'll have 7 times x, or 7x, equals 7. We are multiplying 7 times x, so we need to undo the multiplication by dividing by 7. We divide both sides by 7, so on the left-hand side we get x, and on the right-hand side, 7 divided by 7 is 1. Now we can check our answer by substituting 1 back into our original problem. So 2 times 1 is 2, 5 times 1 is 5, and 2 plus 5 is 7. Now for number 5, we have 7c plus 4c equals 22. We need to combine our like terms. We're going to combine 7c plus 4c. We'll do this by first adding 7 plus 4, and that answer would then be multiplied by c, and then that would equal 22. 7 plus 4 is 11, so we have 11 times c, or 11c, and that equals 22. And then since we're multiplying 11 times c, we'll divide by 11 to solve. We have to divide both sides by 11. 11 divided by 11 is just 1, so that gives us c, and that would be equal to 22 divided by 11, which is 2. So c equals 2. Now we can substitute this back in. 7 times 2 is 14. 4 times 2 is 8, and 14 plus 8 is 22. And now for number 6, we have 3w minus 2w, and that equals 9. Once again, we need to combine our like terms, 3w minus 2w. To combine these, we'll do 3 minus 2, and then we would take that answer and multiply it by w. And then that would be equal to 9. 3 minus 2 is 1, so we have 1 times w equals 9. 1 times w is just w, so w equals 9. I can substitute this 9 back in. 3 times 9 is 27, and 2 times 9 is 18, and 27 minus 18 equals 9. Don't forget to fill out your notes, and remember to watch the video again if needed.